on audio. Hey, Robert, as always, the first. Robert is already in. Thank you so much, Phantom. Yep.
As it should be.
Yeah, I had a good conversation with him. He's such a great guy. He is a staple of our D&D community here.
All right.
Good lad. Hey, what the? How come I can never find when we go live? Why can I never find it, Peter?
It happens to me too, Mike. Sometimes it just takes a minute. There's always a delay. I've seen the same thing.
There. Chandler, how long have you been painting miniatures?
You know, I think probably since I was about 12.
And how old are you? About 19, 20?
23.
Oh, 23.
So a little over 10 years. I remember back in the day I used to use Walmart acrylics and whatever brushes you found in the same aisle.
Hey,
and
there's people still using that stuff and doing good things. So
exactly.
It's all about how you thin it down.
That's true.
You really got to thin down those Walmart acrylics.
Mm-hmm. So back then I started with this old Warhammer box set called Battle for Skulls Past.
Mm-hmm.
Painted up my goblins. They looked like they were dipped in black acrylic and had green glob faces. And from there, we're painting what we're painting now.
We all start somewhere, right?
Exactly. What about yourself? What got you into it?
My grandfather got me into it.
Mm-hmm.
Long time ago.
Mm-hmm.
That's what started me off. Used to paint with tester enamel paints, but
Mm-hmm.
I was lucky. I had a paint by numbers kit, and we started there. But we can talk about this in a minute.
Yeah, for sure.
Bloop beep boop. I'm a bot. Yes, you are, Blood Wild.
The Blood Wild bot.
Blood Wild bot. Ban him. Get him. Evelyn, you're gonna be painting tonight.
Yep. I came prepared. Yes, you did, Sarah.
Lots of paints.
Indeed.
Do you use exclusively Army Painter, Evelyn?
They are the ones that I've found that I like, and they've been the least expensive option for me. So,
That's fair.
I have had some recommendations for some other ones that I want to check out sometime, but I have so many of my Army Painter paints that I feel like I need to use them more before I start getting other.
Absolutely, yeah. I've heard a lot of good things about Vallejo.
Yeah.
I want to get a few of those. Currently, all that I have, well, that's not true. Most of what I have is Citadel and a few Army Painter. I always find that Army Painter runs their paint very thin.
Well, see, some of them are not as thin as others, and so I actually got the little mixing bowls that they sell for their paints to help mix them better, because what I was actually having problems with was they were separating a lot, and I couldn't get them mixed. So this has made a world of difference, adding all these things in, because my paints are actually mixing all the way now, so.
Yeah, also, I've always seen that even, after people maybe run out of Army Painter, they end up using the bottles, because I keep seeing a lot of Army Painter bottles with pre-mixed, or not pre-mixed, like people's paints that they've mixed to a certain.
Well,
level.
and you can buy empty army painter bottles too that have like labels on them that you can label for your own paint mixes and stuff. So it's pretty nice.
I'm still a ways away from that. I've got to save up some money to get my pro tier paint station. I'm always envious when I see a wall of paint rise up somebody's hobby corner.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, see, like eventually that's what I really want is a space where I can have all my paints out and up. Organized by color because I love a good Roy G. Biv situation with my paints.
Maybe I'll pop a picture of my studio and put it in the Discord one time.
Yeah, if you do that, anything you want to pop up tonight, I'll find it, I'll pull it up, and I'll put it on the stream tonight as well if you like. So, welcome everyone, and this is Blue Box episode, I think 46. I had it up a minute ago of Loremaster's Arcanum. 47. Thank you, Evelyn. And we have done a lot of this, and we've had Mike Disney on with us before, but you know what? You can never have too much of Mike Disney.
Mike Disney.
Never. There is no such thing as too much Mike Disney. So here at Blue Box, we're all still having a hangover tonight. We had such an emotional stream last night with our Greyhawk Awakening campaign. Repercussions are still roiling through the party and the players. Everyone is shocked, including the DM, because stuff happened I did not expect to happen last night. But it was so fun, and thank you. I want to start tonight and just say thank you. Thank you to the players. Thank you to the mods. Thank you to the Mad Chatters. We had such great participation last night, so many gifts, subs, and then the chat, just great content in the chat. Many people saying thank you and just reaching out and telling us that I call it art. I mean, what we do is fun, but it's art. It's its own form of art, and they were really appreciative, so we're so thankful. Now tonight, we're doing some fun stuff, lighthearted stuff. We're going to paint some minis and talk about all kinds of tips and tricks, because while we like the VTT stuff and we love Theater of Mind, we also love terrain and minis and tabletop stuff. We use that. Oh, that's all we did last night. So tonight I am joined by an amazing panel. Of course, as always, we have Evelyn with us. You know her as Theater Evie, as Alondra, as Irda, and as Marthaliel, if you've been with us for a long, long time. She does everything here to help us at Blue Box, and she was one of the ones that was most principally, and yes, I'm going to use probably as colorful language. She was pissed last night. All right, then we have Chandler with us. Chandler, he plays Markov on Sundays. He is the treasure I have found here in Murfreesboro, and I'm so thankful to Thomas, who Heart of Adventure and all that. He's the one that introduced us, and we're seeing you tonight, Alcott. So I'm so glad that Chandler's with us, and his minis are amazing. And then we have the Grandmaster. We have the Guru. We have the Legend. We have Yoda with a paintbrush. And it is Mike Disney. And of course, Mike Disney was already legendary for all his work is incredible. He taught this loser how to draw something even mildly recognizable. But then he also had the Overgord print, which he put together, and then it's now out in the Reaper. It's in the Reaper. We're going to talk about that tonight. I want that to be a main part of our... Whoops, it's upside down, sorry. This guy here, incredible artwork. And so he does, he didn't know this on Sunday, Chandler, that magic mouth. You saw me holding it up. That was Mike's, right? And do you remember what I told you he created it from?
Green stuff.
Yeah, which is basically nothing.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's just complete nothing. So tonight, I want this stream to just be fun, lighthearted, because God knows I need it after last night. I don't want anything too heavy. And we're going to get suggestions or questions from the viewers, anything you'd like to talk about. And I want to highlight the Overgord, but also the great artwork that has come from Markov, Chandler. Also, Evelyn is going to do a live paint on stream tonight. And if either one of the other viewers, participants would like to, you can as well. But let's kick it off and let's start about what you guys are doing in terms of your streams, your chats. And I'm going to start with you, Markov. So Chandler, you're new to us. But you've done some D&Ding before, and you paint. So tell us about you. Any socials you'd like to share?
For sure. You can always follow me on Instagram, Chandler_son of Peter. That's kind of my home on the internet. And I post all sorts of content for miniature painting and my life, because it's my personal one. You can also find me on Twitch at Mr_Grantler, which is the same name I chat with. And we do painting streams there, typically. This last week, we did a series trying to finish an army in a week. Did we succeed? Mostly. And that's good enough. Whatever works. So I would give it a shout. It's a fun time.
And so I've wondered from the moment we met, can you tell me about Son of Peter? And if it's sacrilegious and going to get me in trouble, that's okay. But what is Son of Peter?
So my last name is Peterson. So it's just, I think, it's just
It's a play on his last name.
I love that. I love that. All right. Let's go to you, Evelyn, Irda, Marathaliel, Alondra.
Hello, everyone. I'm Evelyn, and I am Theater Evie basically everywhere on the internet. So if you're looking for me, you can find me on Instagram and Twitter, primarily at Theater Evie. That's THTREVIE. You can also find me here on BlueBoxRPG 3 times a week. I am in both of the campaigns and in Loremaster's Arcanum each week. And on Monday nights, you can find me over on Matrick ED's channel on our Extinction Curse Pathfinder 2 ED campaign. I play a sorcerer over there. We've had a couple weeks off, but we should be back this coming Monday. Yeah. That's me.
And she mods. She runs our Discord. She is the wizard behind the curtain here at Blue Box. All right, Mike Disney. Go ahead.
Hey, yep, my name is Mike Disney, and you can find me at Art of Mike Disney, and that's on everything: Twitter, Instagram, here on Twitch,
TikTok.
I stream.
You TikTok, Tumblr, Grinder.
No TikTok, no Grinder, no none of that stuff. But yeah, Art of Mike Disney at most of them, and I do just about everything. I illustrate, sculpt, paint miniatures, paint digitally, do all kinds of anything I can create and comes out of this brain here. I can put out there. It's influenced by D&D mostly, so I love monsters and characters and character creation and backstory. So that's mainly what drives me.
No, well said. And so, Mike, I'm going to share with the group. So we're going to do something very fun. So I'm showing Chandler, Mr. Grantler's artwork right now, and all kinds of fun stuff he's done here. These are his minis, and I'm doing this now because obviously we're going to be really focused on your paintwork, your artwork. But I would love to have you. So I mentioned I want to feature the Overgord during virtual Greyhawk Con, and you've said you're fine with that. I think there would be nothing better to have you play in one of my sessions for VGHC. Would you be willing to be a player in one of my campaigns with the Overgord featured in October, which is the perfect time to do it?
I would love that. I would love that. And as long as those stats, you're gonna mix. You have the stats now, right?
I do.
Yeah,
I
okay.
do.
As long as you convert those good, because the Overgord's a murderous fiend. You know, he's a TPK monster.
Well,
so especially if you put him up there, I would be thrilled to do that. I've been waiting for a DM to ask me to run the Overgord. So yes, you better believe I'll be a part of that.
it's happening, my friend. And the Overgord is the Overgord Lord, and he will be the TPK Master. It's going to happen. If someone in the party is clever enough to survive somehow, I'm all fine with that. All right, let's talk about painting. Evelyn, I see you already running that brush. What are you working on?
The coolest owlbear in the whole thing.
You're muted. We're not hearing you, Evelyn. Sorry.
Sorry. Hello. There we go. I have an owlbear here. And I'm just getting the base brown on it right now, or past the primer. So.
All right. So we look forward to seeing how that materializes over the stream. Now, Chandler, I'm showing part of your artwork here, all your painting, And before we jump into the artwork of Mike Disney and all the cool stuff that we're doing with the Overgourd, anything you'd like me to highlight? I mean, I'm looking at this stuff. This is amazing.
Yeah, it's really good looking paint jobs right there.
Yeah, I mean, like I've seen the minis you brought here to my house, but I had no idea you were doing this kind of painting.
That's very kind. In terms of highlight anything, one of the new things that I've really been working on recently is airbrush work with miniature painting. I do not think it's a silver bullet of miniature painting. I think you can get most effects done with the brush, but it's been a lot of fun. 2 of the pictures there include some of that airbrush work. Really good for lighting because it just goes where light would naturally be cast.
That's why you do them with that OSL right there with the green, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So that's been a lot of fun.
What's your source of light with that though? It's coming from the ground?
Yeah, it's coming from the ground. These guys are in an underworld. They're basically, in the mortal realms of Age of Sigmar, not sponsored. There's a realm called Shaiish, which is where all the underworlds are. So those guys operate in that environment. The other models are, from Curse City or Necromunda. Had a lot of fun trying to pick some bright colors for that. And, as per my mindset, it's really just how can I add the wackiest color combination into this group of models? I think painting, at least in my experience, I like to make it colorful and use all the paints that I have at my disposal. So for instance, those 4 people there, I tried to say every model is going to have a different primary color. And every primary color needs to have a contrasting color somewhere in there, just to add that depth, right? If you have too much monochromism, we're going to go with that word. I find it can
monochromatic, yeah, that works. Yeah.
Yeah. It can subtract from the depth and the detail, especially if you're painting miniatures for a tabletop. I have found, and I don't claim to be the authority on this, that if you have those really stark contrasting colors, like that you have the dark bases and you have the red helmet on the ogre and then this dark armor, it allows you to notice details from a further distance, I have found. And I play most of my miniatures for the miniature games I play. So it helps when you have 30 different models in on a 6x4 to pick them out easily. Trying to think. Also, I have some witch hunters there. Markov's model is among them, I think.
Okay, I'll pull that up here. 1 second. I do know you have that. I think that's this one. There we go.
Yeah, those I really, really enjoyed under the same pretense of let's just give them all different colors. They're all supposed to be dark, kind of monster hunters, and you certainly get that with the big guy in the back, the Markov model that's Jelson Daruk from Curse City. But I always encourage people to have fun with the brightness of their models because it'll pick up better further away. So those are kind of my takeaways from these. Love sharing them. I love making villains look bright and the good guys, which are actually the ones with the glow effect, look dark and ominous. I like those inversions of expectations on the tabletop and with painting. You can really tell a story with the paint job, I feel.
All right. As a DM, as a leader, you need to know when to shut up. I feel this is that time. I would like Mike Disney to respond, and I think it's going to be good. But go ahead.
No, this is the sound cut out for a bit there in Zoom.
Yeah. So
we're back. We're back. I was worried there for a second.
I would like. I'm going to be quiet. Let Mike Disney respond. And I think anything Mike will say, he's supportive. And I think you had great thoughts. And this is what I want this stream to be: the actual artists challenging one another, talking about the techniques. So Mike, go ahead.
I am the challenge. I think he's dead on right. I always. I don't paint my heroes to look dark, but I think that the paint job always tells a story. Mm-hmm. It's exactly what you want to do. In fact, before you even get the paint job going on, you think of the story before you even put the paints on the model. You look at the model and you think, okay, where does this person live? What kind of lifestyle are they having? Are their clothes going to be dirty? Are they going to be clean? Is this person like bright clothing, or is this person like living in the shadows and like being hidden? Or this creature, what kind of leather is this? You know, like a frost giant. A frost giant wouldn't be wearing cow leather; it'd be wearing sea leather. You know, like seals and orca and stuff like that, or white dragon hide. That's what a frost giant's going to be wearing. So that's what you think about before you start that miniature. You know, you think of the story, the lore behind that character. Then you put paint to plastic.
Yeah, can I add on to that, Mike?
Yeah, absolutely.
I think that's a wonderful point that I, wasn't even aware of when I was saying all that, which is that story. And you made a great point of cow leather versus seal, skin. I think it can really change the texture of the model, because we all think of the value and the color of these different parts. But the texture, I think, makes up a big deal, and that changes the tool that you go at it, right? Mm-hmm. Scratchy texture could have a stippling effect, which is a different process than just dragging your brush across, or, the cow leather, or not cow leather, the hand leather on that Markov model is got scratches on it, so you need to use a sharp brush for that. So I think it's really helpful ahead of time, like you said.
Yeah, you can really get into your characters, especially if you're sitting there and you're thinking, where does this character grab their hat all the time?
Oh yeah,
that's gonna have a worn down spot on it. You know what I mean? You can really get into.
Oh my gosh! Who? What? What? Really? Like where the character grabs the hat all the time? You guys are so next level. You're beyond me. That's crazy.
You think of these things before you start. Like that's what I'm saying. You think of the story that this character is going to have before you even start. At least that's what I do. That's my process. So. Even with that blue dragon, I thought, hey, the way this thing, the name of the dragon is Stormwing. Of course, I call him Bernard.
It was Bernard.
But, he looked like a blue dragon. He had the spines all the way down his back. He's just got that big rhino horn coming out the front of his nose. It just looked, he screamed blue dragon to me. So that's what I did. I went blue dragon for Bernard, and I'm very happy with the way he turned out. But I thought the story before I started painting. I looked at it and that's what I saw. It was a blue dragon.
So I'm pulling that up right now. It is this blue dragon, Mike. When I saw this, it blew my mind. And I want to shift to sort of some of the. By the way, well done, Chandler. Excellent points. I thought it was really fun. And I'm watching the chat. I am a little bit upset with Taryn. Taryn has suggested my wife should start her own stream. Actually, you know what? I love that idea. Okay, she can. My wife, start your own stream. Let's do that. I'd love to see that happen. But this dragon, the highlights, the colors, you see blue, but there's more than just blue. It's blue box blue, obviously, but many different colors. And these wings, I mean, my goodness, they look ephemeral. The almost translucent on this side. Mike, talk about this. Talk about Bernard. It
was a really bad picture, honestly, but that Taryn fixed it up as good as she could. There's actually, you can't tell by the picture. There's actually 5 different blues on that thing. It was.
Can you show us on stream the 5 blues? Do you have those, or?
Yeah, absolutely.
Because I want to celebrate the art. I also want to help the people. I want people who are looking at this stuff and going, "Oh my gosh, how could I do that?" And airbrushing is another topic, because airbrushing creates different effects. And I know some people, they are purists. They don't want airbrushing. They want to do brushes. I have an airbrush. I tried it. It's kind of fun for basing for me, but I'm just not good enough to actually create the highlighting. And I've got a lot of minis I painted here. I'm not.
It just takes practice, John. It's easier when the more you practice with it.
And practice requires.
All right.
Doing it.
Time is the answer.
doing it.
I'm gonna pull up some. So Mike's getting the paints out. I'm gonna pull up some other pictures here. But thank you all, the chat. Just use a roller. No, Steve, you cannot use a roller on a mini. I have used rollers on walls though. That works.
So, John, let me ask you a question while Mike's looking up.
I got them all. But go ahead, ask your question.
Yeah. So, John, I know you love paladins. You told me how much you love the class paladin.
Oh man, I feel a setup coming here.
Yeah. Today I am painting Imelda Braskov from Curse City, which is the stereotypical paladin model. We're gonna worry about focus later. I got to make a color choice here. She's got a front half skirt and then a back cloak here. What do you think would be perfect?
All right, so there's an easy answer to that question, which is a question. What question do you think I'll ask? She's a paladin.
Surprise me.
She's a paladin. What's her god? Who's her god?
Her god Sigmar, the god of law, order, and the storm.
All right, and his sigil and so the paladin's tabardry and skirts and armor should all be informed by the god the paladin worships and follows. So
Great.
What are the colors of that god?
Well, it'd be blue and gold.
There you go.
Perfect. That's great. I love that it was not a personal choice. The paladin's not selfish. They live their life.
That's right. Yeah. Now, in general, unless they're anti-paladin, they're probably not going like blacks and blood reds. But yes, I think that's a good way to do it.
Great. Thank you, John. That's great form of storytelling there already.
All right. You're patronizing me now. I know that was not great, but thank you.
The colors I used on the Bernard there is, thank you, Short Mom on the Run. Used ultramarine shadow from Reaper. You can't see it. It's not gonna.
It's a pull it, but just a bit. Yeah, we can see it. Yeah, we got it.
The next one I used is just regular ultramarine. I can't find it. It's over there somewhere. Then I used ultramarine highlight.
Yeah, that looks good. Yeah.
Obviously do a highlight.
09818.
Yep. No, 09189.
Okay. 09819. Good, thank you. So that's those colors look so good together. That's what creates that sort of like the graduation on the dragon, and man, it's just so gorgeous.
Thank you very much. Like I said, Taryn really had to fix that picture up because it was I didn't do a very good job of taking a picture. But then the very next two highlights are Marine Teal 09077, and I just kind of did a very, very light dry brush on the most raised areas of the dragon. You can barely see it in the picture, and then the very last highlight, which I did just strictly on top on all of the top scales, is Surf Aqua 09078. 09078. And that's also Reaper paints. Reaper, I'm going to tell you right now, in my opinion, are my number one. I know they're my sponsor, but I've been using their paints long before they sponsored me. And their paints are phenomenal. They come in dropper bottles, which is the best over pots. I don't like using pots. Pots waste paint, if you ask me. And just Reaper paints are just beautiful. Absolutely beautiful paints. There you go. That's a lot better. Zoom in.
Yeah. Thank you, chatters.
See it a little better at least.
All kinds of chat happening, and yes, Short Mom on the Run, you're exactly right. And Bloodwild Steve concurs with your assessment of Reaper paints.
Yeah, Reaper paints are amazing.
All right, so let's see the latest update, Evelyn, on our owlbear. How's that coming?
Yeah, so I'm just mainly getting him covered in what's going to be my darker shade right now.
Where are you going to go after that?
I am actually going to work on letting him dry a little bit first, but get his hands and claws done next, and then I'll do some dry brushing on the feathers to make them look more feathery.
There is no advice I can give you on keeping them unclogged between usages, Robert. You're gonna have to keep in your studio either a pokey tool. Reaper sells a bunch of pokey tools, or you can have a safety pin or a paper clip, and that will do the trick. And the best advice I can give to somebody: if you've got a dropper bottle of paint and you're squeezing it and there's no paint coming out, stop squeezing it, because if you continue to squeeze it, it's either going to do two things: explode.
I've
all
had
over
that happen.
the place,
Yes.
or the lid of it's going to pop off and it's going to spill all out, and you're going to waste a whole thing of paint. So stop squeezing it. Get your pokey tool and get in there. Even sometimes after you use your pokey tool, a bunch of paint comes out the top. So be prepared of that.
I've had both things happen, Mike. Great advice.
Yep. Yeah, I can't stress that, but that's the best picture right there.
Yeah, so
that's
Mike,
where you can really see the gradient. The other picture you couldn't.
So Mike, like when I looked at this, and the blues are beautiful, they're absolutely azure gorgeous. It is the underside of the wings, which, if you look at it from that side, almost look like a transparency, like there's a see-through effect that's being created by the light. How the heck did you do that?
That was, if you see, the other side of the wings are all blue. So
yeah, I did see that.
All I did was take a nice beige coat, and went over it like 3 times on the wing membranes. And then I went over it with an Agrax Earthshade wash, a really nice wash, and I thinned down the wash with water. H2O.
So I have Agrax Earthshade back here, and I've found that to be my favorite wash. And I know it's kind of celebrated. Is it overhyped, Mike? Is that a great wash, or you think there's other washes?
No, it's a great wash. I love that wash. Agrax Earthshade non-oils. Now I use washes sparingly. I don't use them all the time.
Oh, really?
But yeah, I don't.
So I've washed almost every mini I do. So.
Well, that's a good thing. That's okay. That's a technique. It's
well, no. If Mike Disney does not do it, it's not a good thing. So, so like, when do you choose when to wash and when not to wash? Not you personally. I don't mean that. But your minis.
When to wash and when not to wash. That is a good question. Honestly, no pun intended. It's honestly up to personal choice. I mean, there's places on, like, I could have washed that dragon and I didn't. I selectively washed it. Like, you can see under its eye and leading to the nose, from the back of the eye all the way under it to the nose, the nostril right there, you can see a dark line. That's wash. That's the only wash that's on that entire face, except underneath the jawline right there.
Oh, look at that. Wash. Yes, I see it now.
And the rest of it is all just a simple dry brush and regular brush. And now into the scales, I did the same thing. I went in procedurally and just put a drop of wash underneath each scale. It took forever, but you see the look that it gave me.
Okay, so you said magic word there. A drop of wash under each scale, and it took forever. Now, what's forever? That's like 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 30 minutes? What did that take you?
It took about 50 minutes.
Okay, yes.
It took about 15 minutes. But to me, that's way too long, so it maybe 20 minutes.
But it just, when you look at the full mini, it just looks gorgeous, and it doesn't always jump out to you what makes it look so gorgeous, the highlights there. But when you zoom in and you look at these elements, the highlighting, the dry brushing, the washing, that's wow, just incredible.
Yeah, you can really see if you go back to that wing part on its arm, you can really see the 5 blues in that shot right there.
Right there?
Right in that arm right there. You're exactly right. You can really see the 5 blues, and where I placed the wash underneath the scales. You can really see it from that angle of the photo, and a little bit on the right hand side too. So, but to go back to what I was saying about the membrane on the wings, After I added a watered down wash to it, I let it dry, of course. That's one thing with wash. You have to let it dry. You can't paint over it while it's still wet. It'll mess up your mini. It'll look horrible. It'll rip the paint. You'll look like you have coffee stains on your miniature, and that's horrible.
You know
what I'm talking about, don't you, Chandler?
Well, yes, I know the tide marks. Yes,
Yeah.
and I 100% agree. I did learn one way to make a wash's strange way of drying turn in your favor for certain effects. If you ever want to do cheetah print, you use that Agrax Earthshade, let it pool just a little bit, create little cheetah marks with it.
Yep.
Give it 20, 30 seconds, and then you sop up the middle. The edge, as you will know, Mike, will have been dried.
Yeah, it'll look like a little coffee stain.
It'll look like a little coffee stain, but, if you're trying to make cheetah print, it works perfectly.
Yeah, it's good stuff. Agrax Earthshade, it's good stuff right there.
That's paint fixer right there. Put it on any miniature, fixes it immediately.
So, Mike, that technique that resonates with you? I'm not trying to check you, Chandler. I just we got Mike Disney on, so I want to make sure what he.
100%. He's right on the money. It is if you do that effect, that's exactly what will happen. You can also use that effect to do mud splatter on the bottom of banners or on the bottom of people's cloaks and stuff like that. You can take an old toothbrush and dip it in your Agrax Earthshade and flick it a couple of times before you hit your mini or before you hit your target, and then there you go. Evelyn's already got one. She knows exactly what I'm talking about. And then flick the Agrax Earthshade or whatever wash that you're using to create that effect. You can use red wash, red paint to create blood splatter effects, doing the same thing with toothbrushes. It's all about, or you can take a regular brush and tap it on your finger to release the paint. You'll get a different effect. You can always try different things to create different splatters, especially on top of each other. If you layer your different splatters, it'll create a more realistic effect.
And your paints, right?
Yeah.
So we are joined tonight by the newest D&D player in my family. You've seen Avalene on a couple of our streams. She's 10 years old. She's painted a lot. And say hi to Mike Disney, Chandler, and Evelyn. And
hey, Evelyn.
About 5,000 people watching the show tonight.
5,000 people.
She's a burgeoning painter. She's very good at what she does. This is a fantastic chat. So, Chandler, you kind of went dark mode there, and you've been painting something for a bit. Would you like to show us what you have?
Yes. So what I've got here, and I'm going to do my best to bring the lighting up with it. That way we can actually see it rather than a defocused mess. Is here. Let me check out Zoom here.
Take your time. I struggle with this too. It's still a defocused mess, but you'll get it.
Yeah, there we go. We're going to give it a minute.
Yeah, pull it back a bit and then bring it back toward it. It should. You got to look at the camera.
Put your hand behind it. It usually helps.
It would make it the only thing that can.
There you go. You got it. You had it. There you go. There it is. Right there.
You got to do the makeup tutorial.
Right? Exactly.
Now we're doing this paladin, which has an eagle on her back that we're about to do a bald eagle look here with some wet blending between the white and the brown, and that blue that you helped choose, John, and some metallic. So what we're going to do on this metallic, as you can see, it's shining and creating all these highlights. She lives in the cursed city. She lives in a dark, cursed place. We're going to do several thin shades of a wash called Nuln Oil to bring it really down, make it look almost blackened, and then do just a highlight of a very light silver on just the edges where it's been scratched or nicked or wherever, because she fights, right?
Right.
That's the plan for those surfaces that take up a lot of the model.
I mean, so you're getting lots of comments in the chat. Everybody likes it. That looks gorgeous. And I did nothing except ask who her god was. But that's awesome. So, Mike, what you saw there, again, you are the the preeminent guru here on the channel. What are you thinking about? Obviously, you're a kind guy, so you're gonna say it looks great. I know that you're not gonna criticize, but like any thoughts on his wet blending techniques, observations from what you saw?
Well, he hasn't started his wet blending, right, Chandler? You haven't started it yet.
No, that's the next process.
Okay.
Yeah. And he's talking about his feathers. It's going from white to brown because he's doing a bald eagle effect, correct?
Yeah, you got it.
Yep.
Just gonna bring this down.
It's beautiful stuff. That blue's already looking good. And I know that miniature, that's a sharp looking miniature. The Cursed City miniatures are very nice.
Yeah, I was lucky enough to grab one before they cut production on all of them. So,
the main thing I'm seeing with your miniature that's wrong, Chandler, and I think there's a major correction that you need to make here. And actually, I'm kind of disappointed with you because you could have done a lot better. You need a Ferox Fabrications holder for that miniature.
You know what? You're 100% right. Could you tell me, what about Ferox Fabrication? Maybe.
Oh wow, yeah. There we go.
Could I? You know what? Let's take a quick break here. 30 seconds, and we're gonna go. And we're not going to show that, although I do love that. Our trailer is awesome. Let's talk about Ferox. And we're not doing all our sponsors tonight, but it's fun to just highlight one sponsor, Ferox. Darren, such a great friend of the channel. He's been texting me all day long. He's engaged with the whole stream. Really a friend of what we do here. So we love Darren and the Ferox team. Gotta love that 80s VCR vibe, Mike.
Yeah, I know. It's great. I feel like I'm about ready to stand up and go over and hit the top of the VCR.
Exactly. Bang that sucker and make it go again. So he does wet palettes and brush holders, but his mini holders are magnetic and snappy, and they're awesome. And we've done some giveaways. We love Darren. Hello, Anna. I know you've been on all night today, but yeah, Stranger Things vibe. Exactly, it is Stranger Things vibe. Well said.
That ad. Did you see the garbage, the pill bottle at the bottom, right underneath the blue box?
Yes, I did.
Like, somebody didn't see that in the editing.
Hey, Retro Mike. So some of your work is going to be featured on Blue Box here in the next couple of weeks, my friend. In a bad way. All right, Mike. Can we talk some Overgord?
Yeah.
I think that's a main thing I wanted to discuss. And Chandler, thanks for moving your camera down so we can watch you paint. That's a great thing. And Evelyn, you can do the same if you would like, but no obligation. Tell us about your latest Overgord, your print, and then the paint that you've done, the deal with Reaper, and what's happened as this has blown up. It's all over the D&D community. People love the Overgord.
Well, first off, it's not a print. It's actual miniature that they made in China. So Reaper made it, mass produced it. It's not a print. But okay, to start off with the Overgord, how he came about was through something called Inktober, which was created by Jake Parker. He was an illustrator. And Inktober, it goes by, what it is you make an ink drawing for every day of the month of October. You don't use anything else, just ink. And you follow a queue list made by him. Well, in 2019, the queue list, actually 2018, I'm sorry, the queue list was, it was 31 days, of course. And the third one was a pumpkin beholder. So I was, of course, 4 days behind the ball on doing my Inktober, and I was streaming. So I was telling my chat, and there was about 60 people in there that night, or that day. I was telling my chat to give me the queue list, and we got to number 3, and they said pumpkin beholder. I said, "Ooh, that's going to be a nice one." I started drawing it out, and it was only supposed to be a real quick sketch because I had day 4 to do still.
Well, it was starting to look really good, and I didn't want to leave it behind, so we finished it all on that stream. But before we finished, while I was drawing it, I thought to myself, being a big D&D fan, I love beholders, and I would love to see this on a D&D table somewhere someday. Somebody doing this is a mini. And I just got sponsored by Reaper, so I opened up my big mouth in my chat and I said, hey, why don't somebody go over to Reaper and tell them to come over and check out my stream right now and see if they'll make this drawing into an actual miniature. And before the stream was ended, I had an email waiting in my box from Reaper Miniatures saying that they were going to make it into a miniature. And John actually is one of the out of 20 people has one of the original Overgord prints right over there on his wall. And that is what the actual miniature is modeled after, is that print right there. So, and only 20 people have that thing.
And I'm sorry, guys, this will never be a giveaway. This will always be. I'm so excited to have this original print signed by Mike Disney. This gives me my Big Gourd energy. I look at it every time I come down here in the room.
That's it, Big Gourd energy right there.
Right.
Did we lose the stream?
No, no, I think we're fine.
Oh, okay. I had to refresh it on my end.
No worries. So I would like to see the print, the 3D, the Reaper model, and you've got probably both the unpainted and the painted. I'd like you to compare those. Oh, that's gorgeous. So talk to us about what Reaper did in terms of their bringing to life what you created.
Well, as far as I know, the art department, they contacted the art department right away, got them on it. They agreed to it, and then they gave my concept picture. I had to send them the artwork, obviously, and they sent my artwork to a 3D sculptor who sculpts in ZBrush, whose name is Jason Wiebe. He's an incredible sculptor, and they gave it to him, and he pretty much turned it into what it is now. Of course, there's changes. He didn't do the exact drawing of it, but he kept, there's 10 vines, 10 heads, just like a beholder would have, plus the one central eye. And then, he kept everything pretty much virtually the same. The only thing he didn't put the scar on the Overgord's head from the axe. That's the only other difference. And of course he's propped up, because you can't have a mini floating in the air. It's impossible. Right. So he's propped up by vines. So that's the only other thing that's different. So he's got all those rotten Overgords in the bottom. Now I don't have a blank one built.
Oh, you don't? Okay.
I just have one that's in the box. So it comes in like 6 different pieces.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that makes sense.
It does not come built. It does not come built at all. But he's about 5 inches tall. He's big.
All right. So, Mike, can you put back up the one you painted for a moment and just talk to us about the process of painting and how you feel like? And obviously, you're going to say you love it because it's Reaper and they're sponsoring you. But I mean, to me, I just think it looks freaking gorgeous. I mean, what a concept to ink, to print, to paint, to life. It's amazing.
John, do you not have any recent pictures of the Overgord?
I don't think I do, but if you send them to me, I'll put them up.
I'm going to put them up right now because this camera isn't going to focus. So
yeah, send them to me in Discord, and I will put them up.
Yep, doing it right now.
Yeah, he is big, Taryn, no doubt.
He's big.
It is the Overgorgeous, that's right. So we're watching the painting that's happening here. And of course, Chandler has his mini up live. That paladin is looking like something I'm going to steal from you. Now let's go to Evelyn. Oh, the owlbear. Look at that progress. Very nice.
There we go.
There you go. Wow.
Oh, yeah, very nice.
That is very nice. Super quick. Wow. Well done.
Good.
All right, so I'm checking Mike. While I'm looking at Discord to pull up the communications on the channel. Any other comments from the chatters I've missed? Evelyn, you're probably having no time tonight to do what you normally do, which is help me monitor chat because you're busy. Oh, thank you so much, Taryn. We appreciate that. Robert, Lehman, worst nightmare, the Great Pumpkin ghost. That's exactly right. Linus always feared the Great Pumpkin. That's the deal.
For good reason, if it's the Overlord.
Of course.
Yeah, that's right. He's the Overgord is he's supposed to be a maniac. That's what I envisioned him as. He's goofy looking, but let me tell you, he's not. He's your serial killer of monsters. He is your Jason Voorhees, your Leatherface, your Michael Myers. He is those people. If you try to knock him down, he's going to keep coming back at you. That's why he's so good for Halloween. He's a great Halloween monster to just keep reoccurring, kind of like the Headless Horseman in World of Warcraft. You know, he keeps coming back every season to get you.
So I think Ichabod Crane and the Headless Horseman predated World of Warcraft, but I think that's still fun as an analog. And yes, if you heard earlier, Mike Disney's Overgord will be featured here on Blue Box during Virtual Greyhawk Con. We have that up on the channel right now, October 1st through the 3rd. It's going to be a principal, yes, the villain. Thank you, Anna B. Meyer, for the sub. There is nothing that makes you feel better about what you're doing than have someone like Anna B. Meyer sub to your channel. Anna, we love you. And of course, we feature all of your artwork and your cartography and the amazing mapping that you've done for Greyhawk. And your Patreon is incredible. If you're not watching and following, Anna does an amazing job with all of her cartography and her Patreon. She's constantly pushing out great content. Please check her out. Patrick, oh, no, that was a gift sub. Thank you, Patrick. I appreciate that. And Patrick, always in the chat. He crushed it last night. And again, I am still absolutely hungover from last night. I should drink more of this coffee. It was a crushing night. Lots of drama. Evelyn is nodding her head and sighing heavily. We texted all day long, so it was a tough night. Finally made it home. Congrats, Josh. That's good. We're good to see that. And yes, great. Thank you.
You know, I've got a question for Mike.
Yep.
So, Mike, you've been painting for a few years now, and
that felt unconsciously patronizing.
No. I'm being,
he was being careful.
I know. Everybody felt it, but it's fine. Go ahead, Chandler.
Yeah, no, I'm just being goofy. But you've been painting for a while now, and at that point, are you still your own biggest critic? Because I know for a lot of aspiring miniature painters, myself included, you're always going to see the flaws in your model while you're painting it that other people won't even notice. Constantly.
I with that blue dragon, I can pick it apart right now. I did that too fast, I think. But there's some things you got to learn when to say stop.
Mm-hmm.
You have to, if you want to make any money, especially because I do this for a living, you have to learn how to say, okay, this is done. I have to move on, but I to answer your question, yes, I'm my own worst critic.
Yeah. How do you feel like you get past that early stage on a model or you're like, man, it's not looking good. There's obviously because there's not much color on it.
Because somebody told me a long time ago, Chandler, is that any piece of art is going to have one stage and it's called the ugly stage. And it's the truth. You can laugh all you want, but it's the truth. Yeah. Any artist will tell you that there's always going to be a stage in the art where it's an ugly stage, and you just got to learn to get through it.
That sounds like my stream last night. That's so helpful.
Yeah, that's awesome. I really appreciate that.
Yeah, you have to. You just once you know that you just put it in your mindset. This isn't looking right. I can fix this. The main thing about it is it's only paint. You can paint over it as long as you don't glumping it on and you're thinning your paints. You're good to go. You can always paint over it. Change everything that you want to do. You can repaint a whole shield a million times. As long as it's not thick paint. you've got it. You're good to go. So yeah, it's
All right. So unlike actual drawing, which I feel utterly incompetent at, I think I've done some pretty good paints. So I'm going to call up a couple of my minis. A lot of the minis I have on my walls here and play in my games, I've actually done. And I'm just hoping Mike's not going to laugh when he sees these. But this is, got to hold the hand up in front of it. I did this several years ago. My massive orc with his axe. I'm going to hold that up here. And what I liked about this guy, he was very complex. And on the shield, he's got body parts and bones. And there we go. That's better. There, now you can see his teeth on that, and the shield. And I did some shading on the axe and tried to keep it like very gritty. So unlike, and I'm not against what Chandler said, I like the colorful stuff he's doing, but I tried to keep this very gritty. And here's a paladin I did. And he's got the tabard of silver. I did some shading on the shield and the sword. And then the whites, like you guys started off, the whites are the hardest. And so that's what I tried to do to create some sort of texture and shading to the white and the shield, which had ivory on it. So again, it's no Chandler, it's no Mike, it's no Evelyn, but I've done a little bit of painting, so I'm gonna flash that.
Well, painting is just an end to itself, right? It's not a means to an end of creating a great model. It's just a hobby that you do.
Well,
that's the whole point.
Don't think me showing that was coincidental to you saying, when do you ever stop being your own self?
Well, it's a hobby to some people, Chandler.
Yeah, it's a profession.
Living at it.
That's you know what? That's fair. That's.
Did you get those pics, John? I sent them to you in the.
I pulled up some. Let me look again and make sure.
There's 3 of them.
I have them all. All right. So in the chat, let me see here. 7 years ago, Bloodwild. Yeah. That's no. So I'm looking at the chat. Awesome. All of your art is in the ugly stage. That's not
That's
true.
what I was
Steve.
laughing
Yeah,
at.
I know. That's not true. No way. Except for fine art to pay. Oh, I love the chat. I feel like it's fine. Your minis go through the ugly stage, but that critical sort of. I look at stuff when I'm done with it, past the ugly stage. I'm like, nah, not good enough. And airbrushing seemed to me like the magic bullet, the silver bullet. But when I tried it, it was the same thing as paintbrushing. And then it seems like others. Let me stop there, actually, Mike. Let me ask you this question: is there a bit of elitism for pure brush painters versus people who use airbrush painting?
I think that people that overuse the airbrush get bit on by people that are mainly brush painters. But I some of my favorite painters they use both. It's a tool. It's a tool in your toolbox. Some people will overuse it, some people don't. But if they're having fun and they're getting the effect that they want and people are liking their stuff, hey, kudos, good to them. But some of my favorite painters are airbrush and traditional brush users, and they can wet blend and make it look like airbrush. So, but they still use the airbrush. But it's all a tool in the toolbox, and airbrush is not a silver bullet either. Airbrush is not easy to use. It takes a lot of goofing around with it, and you got to set it up and clean it and take it apart, and there's several different parts to an airbrush. It's not easy. It takes a lot of patience, just like painting. So
no, so well said. And but do you use an airbrush at all yourself?
Yeah. All the blues were airbrushed except for 2 blues on that dragon. That was all airbrushed except for the two last blues, the surf aqua and the marine teal.
All right, so I'm looking at the overgored eye now. Was there airbrushing on that? Because that eye looks glossy, wet, and vibrant.
Nope, there's no airbrushing whatsoever, and there's no gloss varnish on it either. That's all that. All that is. The only reason why that looks glossy is because I painted the main eye with an Ulthuan gray, a very light gray that was almost white, and then the white dots, the reflective dots, I used a pure white. That's the only reason why that looks shiny. Besides that, it's got a matte coat varnish on it.
I mean,
the illusion.
that's crazy. So Chandler, I know you're painting. Can you look up for a second? I think you're really into this. So when you see this mini, any questions on technique that you would have? Because I think questions you would have would be questions that the viewers in the chat would have.
Yeah, absolutely. So the first thing that I look at here that's the most striking is the eye. Big surprise, right, on a beholder or an overgord. And I look at this and I say, wow, that is really striking that he was able to get kind of the iris in there and the color there. And I'm really interested just how he managed to pull that off. And the inclusion of that reflective, white on there is super awesome because that shows that there was a real tension to where the light is in the scene, putting it in the world that it's in. So that's where I'm immediately drawn. And then after that, it's just the layering on the pumpkins is done so well that it looks so good and realistic. And you see that texture there, kind of the bumpy graininess of the pumpkin.
That's exactly what I was thinking. Thank you, Chandler.
Yeah, thank you very much. That was very kind of you. I appreciate that.
Oh, it's awesome. Yeah, I'm excited to see it kill so many people.
Well, so again, it's gonna premiere here very soon at Virtual GreyhawkCon. So this is gorgeous, and thank you so much for that, Mike. We had some other stuff. I want to show this. This came from Bloodwild Steve, showing some of the minis he's done and terrain that he's done from Mantic Games, which is one of our sponsors, and that's pretty cool. And this is always a challenge when you're doing lots of the same kinds of things, armies, big terrain stuff. I love that, Steve. That spider's wicked looking.
Yep, that's an Arachnarok right there.
Mm-hmm.
I know that model. That's a cool model.
Wow. Evelyn, you okay?
Yeah. Very focused. I'm painting claws.
Yeah,
You made it sound like that spider was getting to you.
I know. I thought it was I thought it was scrabbling up the ground by her foot or something. That's awesome.
Spider's gonna get you.
No, so anyone else that has fan art, go ahead and send it. We'd love to show any of your paints and minis, and this is only one of many. We're going to do several more of these, and with different themes and focuses. Next time, I'm going to set up an OBS Ninja account with Mike or anyone else so they can show their own artwork. They don't have to send it to me in Discord. We'll let them control what's coming up in that screen like I've done with some other streams. So it's going to be fun.
I have some of the things I've painted on my desk right now that I can show.
Yeah, go ahead and share them to me if you would like. Do I have... I don't have a chat for OBS Ninja. I have a chat with... So, yeah, you know how this works.
I can just hold it up.
Yeah, there you
go. I have
go.
them here. This is one of my very first mini paints that I did.
Oh, nice.
She's a druid.
That looks nice.
She's got all the vines and stuff in her hair and everything. So I think she was my third mini that I painted, because she's actually a backup character for 4th Age campaign.
All right.
So she was saved for that. And then I have this guy, of course, who I'm very proud of, my beholder here.
Yeah.
He's got he's purple and blue.
Very cool.
He looks gorgeous. Now, there is no mini beyond, like, Bernard's at the top. He's good. And then the Overgord, of course. But Glitter Bomb John.
Yeah, that thing.
This miniature right here. Look at the detail. Whoops, crud. The nipples that are so... The buttocks, I think, were a big part of the fan last night. Everybody loved that. Some glitter on that, all the stickers, the hood. And if no one noticed, he's modeled after the colors of Gimbal. So it's Glitter Bomb John with a gimbal homage from Pat Draws, the sunglasses. That's so much fun. Thank you,
Feels
Pat Draws.
appropriate.
It does. Although
so much fun.
I want to point out again,
Draws.
I want to point out again, as I did last night, he's not buff enough, but it still looks awesome.
Another question for you, Mike, because the Overgord is kind of the highlight for tonight. Obviously, that model is a lot of eyeball. Some would say it's all eyeball with a little bit of gourd. For smaller minis, how do you manage eyes? Because those are always tricky. Those are always really tricky.
Oh, great question. Those kick my butt all the time. I love that.
Well, the tiny eyes, like ones that you can barely even get a sliver in there. Sometimes I don't even bother doing, because if you're going to look at the mini, even from a distance, if you're going to see a person from that far away, you know what I mean? Say you hold up your mini, at arm's length. And if you're looking at a person at that distance and they're about that big, you're not going to see that person's eyes. You know what I mean? So I don't bother. Who did that Overgord?
Yeah, all right, so I'm going to come back. So Pat Draws, you should have asked me. I've got all the buff pics. I don't send them out on social media because that's like super ugly and looks like really lame and whatever. But I'm teasing. So here, Fraley, 17, that's Patrick. He's one of our longtime viewers, fans. He was part of our amazing Blue Box Con this year. He painted that Overgord, and he sent it to me. And I think, Mike, is that not so much fun for you to see how fans take the creation you made and the cooperation with Reaper and then bring their own life to it?
Are you kidding me? I have been loving seeing all of the Overgords. I wish people were hashtagging them with the Overgord and tagging me. But,
all right, so everybody hear that? Everybody that's painting an Overgord, hashtag Art of Mike Disney and tag him. He wants to see your work.
And hashtag Overgord too. That's the biggest thing. Hashtag Overgord. So I can see them all in one place. But I've seen somebody painted one with candy corn teeth, and it was beautiful. I mean, it looked crazy candy corn teeth. Yeah, and then another one painted. The one that I just saw yesterday is better than mine, in my opinion. It's got all of the faces are glowing. All of the faces are glowing. The eyes, it's just gruesome.
Do you have a picture of that, and we could credit the artist? I'd love to do that.
I wish I had a picture of it. It's on Instagram. I'd have to go back and
next time. We're going to do this again, Mike. So next time, because we're going to feature this a lot. Yeah, so I'd love it.
Really awesome paint.
Good night, Pat Draws.
But to answer your question, yes, I love seeing that. It fills my heart with joy. Honestly, it just seeing. And the next thing I want to see, now that the stats for him are out there, and I know people are going to mess with the stats, but the stats that I have are 5e stats, and the Overgord lore is out there. I really hope that people start using it, and that's when I want to start hearing the stories back of how the Overgord is wrecking adventurers' lives and just really having the time of his life out there, wreaking havoc and pure chaos and mayhem. That's but seeing all the painted minis of the Overgord, priceless. I can't tell you enough.
No, I'm so glad to hear that. I'm gonna have to resist the desire to make this a default TPK, because it's just such a glorious monster and BBEG. But you don't ever want to pre-script a TPK. But when the players face this in my one-shot campaign for Virtual Greyhawk Con, it is going to be it's gonna be tough.
Well, you can always end it like an 80s horror movie where there's one lone survivor and you think that the Overgord is dead. But see, let me give you a little spoiler on the Overgord.
Okay.
And what happens when you wound the Overgord, if one of the seeds fall out of them, guess what that sprouts?
A new Overgord.
Yeah.
A new Overgord.
Exactly.
And guess what? And they're telepathically linked. So what that new Overgord sees, so does the Lord. So does the Lord Overgord. So they're a pain in the ass.
No, that's one of the best parts of this monster. I loved it. It's sort of the never-ending supply of enemies. As you kill one, it drops to the ground and sprouts another. It's fantastic.
That's right.
All right, so he's secretly a variant Hydra. That's a good point, Amanda. I like that. Okay, so I've got some pics that have been sent from Steve and Robert. I'll pull those up. Jason, good to see you on as well. You first need to start it for your your homebrew 1E. Do it, my friend. Absolutely. Over Carnage. I like that, Mikey B. I liked Over Gorgeous, but I think Over Carnage is better. And then I wanted to say thank you, Blackbeard Beard. Yeah, Blackbeard Beard. Follow, and again, Patrick, thank you so much for the gift subs. Chandler.
Yes.
You have been full of great questions tonight. And we only have about 5-6 minutes left. We're going to raid Jay. Other questions you have for the incredible and absolutely legendary Mike Disney on all of his work, his paints, his technique, anything you'd like to ask him?
You know, the big one that I've got right now is you've painted so much, right? I go on your Instagram, I see all these. What drives you to the next miniature? How could you encourage people to sponsor and engender a love of painting?
Well, that's a tough question coming from me because it's not only a hobby, it's my job. So
yes,
but that's the picture, John. You got it. That's the picture right there. That's
wow. How
see what I'm talking about?
Is that a trick of light? Thank you. That was from Steve Bloodwild helped us with that. Is that a trick of light and camera? Like
no,
lots of highlighting.
That's lots of highlighting. Yeah. That's just really, 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 really incredible painting is what that is.
All right, Mike, it's been good to have you on tonight. So I'm going to contact this person. They're going to be on with me next time. You're no longer one. I'm teasing.
See what I mean? I told
that
you.
Is incredible.
I know. I told you. It's really, 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 really beautiful. Seeing people. And this artist actually tagged me and hashtagged Overgord this. So I saw it right away. And that's what that was.
All right, so if you're not listening, everyone, listen. You tag Art of Mike Disney and you hashtag Overgord, and he will see it, he will compliment it or tell you it sucks, whatever it is, and he will give you feedback. That's incredible to have the original artist do that. Thank you, Mike.
Yeah, no problem. But this piece is just amazing. Absolutely amazing. I can't believe it. Thank you for finding that picture, Bloodwild.
Well done. Thank you, Steve. All right, so I have something from Robert here as well, and we're going to do a check-in on the paints that have been done tonight, and some really cool paints happening.
I didn't finish answering his question.
Okay,
I'm sorry, buddy. That it's a tough question, Chandler. Mm-hmm. The thing is I don't do this for a hobby anymore. Mm-hmm. I mean, I do, but I do it for a living. So the thing that drives me to do my next paint job is money, obviously. Mm-hmm. But as a hobby, I would say do what inspires you. Get a movie. What really inspires you to get that artistic kick. Like a lot of things for me are movies or books or watching other artists like yourself or anything. You know what I mean? That's what gets me inspired. I'll turn on YouTube, watch a couple painting videos, and I'm ready to go. That is what gets me going. But to get out of that dry spot, it's rough sometimes. Maybe try something different, pick up a pencil and try an illustration and then go back to painting or it's mix it up, mix your creativity up. I think that's why I can really do a few things moderately well, because I will take a break. Mm-hmm. Like I'll feel monotony dragging on and I'll say, okay, I need to put this down for a day and just do some illustration. Okay, I need to put down the illustration for a day and just do some sculpting. So that's how I get through. Find something else to have that outlet there when you're drying up.
Great. Thank you so much.
Yeah, no problem.
I love that. Evelyn, as we're getting ready to close, I want to see your owlbear, but also any questions you have or comments, because you're also a great painter. Go ahead. Look at that. Wow. I love the talons. The chest piece, the talons. That's gorgeous.
So fast she did that, too. So fast.
That's a big mini do that, but well done.
Thanks. Yeah. I can't really remember what because I know we've talked to Mike quite a bit about mini painting before, but just to rehash it, because I don't know if that Loremasters was the one we were able to upload, but what got you into mini painting to begin with, Mike, and for any of our new viewers too?
My grandfather got me into mini painting. I was not even bigger than a counter in a store. And we walked into a comic store, and this guy, I was 5 years old, must have been 5 years old. And there was a showcase that had miniatures, a glass rotating counter showcase. It had miniatures in it. My grandfather was flipping his lid over this little tiny halfling miniature that somebody had painted the eyes on. Painted the eyes on them, and the blue. You could see that they were blue, and this mini was so tiny. I remember it like it was yesterday.
Wow!
And he was so excited about it, and to see his excitement, I've never seen him that excited. I loved it, and I said, "Wow, this is what I want to do. I want to make my grandfather be like this. I want to make other people be like this. Just by looking at miniature painting, I didn't know that you could do that and instill that emotion through art.
Love
so
that.
That's what got me into it.
Awesome.
So the mini painting for you came before actually playing D&D.
Oh, way before playing D&D.
Wow, that's so cool. Because like for me and many others, it's the opposite. Like we played the game and then we learned the minis. You were the minis first. That's awesome.
Yep. In fact, I came across the Grenadier miniatures. I started with a paint by numbers paint set, because the brushes in the paint by numbers paint set, they weren't like the tester brushes. They didn't look like brooms. They were actual nice brushes, They weren't Valinsky Sables or nothing, but they were nice, And the paints in the paint by number paint sets were actually pretty good. You could flip over the tops, and they, you could paint with them. They weren't like the tester's enamel, or they weren't all the chunky paints. And the very first minis I came across was Grenadier long box miniatures. And they were slimes and oozes, and they were just chunks. They looked like welding off, like little welding pieces of weld that somebody picked off of a metal shop floor and put into a box and called them oozes and jellies. You know what I mean? And that's what I painted. That was the very first things that I painted.
That's awesome. And in the chat, Grendel Wolf, bravo, great show. The murderous brushes have caused much paint to flow. They have. That's correct. I want to see the update on Chandler's Mini, and then we'll get Evelyn here to show the final version of the owlbear. We're going to raid Mike. We're going to raid into Jay, of course, Lord Gazumba, as we always do. This is another one of my old school paints, and one of the questions I have is blood. Blood is tough because I try to put, like, on this sword here, you can see this orc mini. That's his back, that's his front, and he's got this blade, and I've just put like slashes of red, and to me it looks okay, but doesn't really look real. How can I make blood look more real?
Use 2 or 3 different colors for your blood. Yep.
Because blood is not just one color.
Yep. And start with a lighter color, and work your way up to the darkest. And your darkest should be your lowest, your most smallest part. So you're actually going to be working opposite of what you would do any other part of the mini when you're working with blood, because where the blood is most concentrated is where it's going to be darkest. So in the middle of that slash mark is where your darkest blood is going to be, and on the outskirts is where your lightest blood is going to be. Now, after you do your slashes, then just like, remember what I taught you with the toothbrush?
Yeah.
You can do little effects like that, or you can just take the little tip of your brush and just do little dots of it to make it look like a splatter right about where he's chopped right into or sliced right into whatever he was doing. Because you're not just going to get the slap the marks of the spray coming out, you're going to get, other like chunky bits and stuff going in. It's going to be splattered.
Yeah, well said. All right, as we wrap up and get ready to raid Jay, I've got two things to do. I want to revisit the minis. Chandler, we're going to come to you in just a second. That thing is looking gorgeous, and I want people to comment. But I realized I went all night last night, a 4-hour stream, and not one time did I ask this question. And it's only happened probably once before on a stream. I failed to do this, so I've got to do it tonight. If you're watching tonight and you haven't followed, if you're a follower and you haven't subbed, if you're a sub and your sub has expired and you have not resubbed, we have one question for you here at Blue Box.
What are you doing?
Come on, give us a follow, give us a sub. Super late because we're already losing people to Jay, as we should, because we love him, and Lord Gazumba, super good friend. Thank you everybody for joining in the chat. Now back to the question. I want to see that mini, Chandler. So hold it up, show us all the angles, and I want you to tell us what you've done, and I want Mike to tell us what his thoughts are. And of course, Mike's a great guy. He's going to be complimentary. But Mike, any thoughts on technique or even improvements that Chandler could do? Go ahead, Chandler.
So, thank you. I'm trying to, there we go. And then we're going to play the game where we try and focus it here.
The game.
Do the hand. Do the hand.
You're losing at right now.
The hand behind it. The hand behind it.
The beauty streamer thing. Come on.
There you go.
Streamer.
Nope, not yet. Nope.
I have a feeling it has to do with my focusing lens too. So we're gonna. There we go.
So you're using the Canon right now.
Yes.
Well, heck yeah, you can focus that yourself. That's not like a Logitech. All right, good. Wow, look at that. You did that all tonight?
Yep.
Yeah.
So this is what we've done is we've gotten every base color down on this lady right here, this paladin, and we have just applied the last of the shade. I'm drifting away from the camera there. The last of the shade to all of the different colors. With asterisks, we're going to put a few more very thin layers of Nuln oil on the armor to make it look a little bit more blackened. And then from here, we're going to work our way up with highlights.
Look at that eagle head. That's freaking awesome, dude.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Now, Mr. Mike, let me know if you have any thoughts.
I have no criticisms on that paint job whatsoever. And especially the amount of time that you put into it, how clean it is really, 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 really beautiful. You've really, you must have had your colors picked out, knew what you were going to do, and went for it. And the wet blending on that eagle is amazing. That eagle head looks outstanding. Yeah, that deserves it.
Bravo.
You know what I'll do when I finish it up? I'll bring it to the Sunday stream, and we can see what it looks like when it's all done.
All right. So, but wait, bring it back up here before we move on. So, Mike, I know it looks amazing. If this were your mini and you wanted a finishing detail, something like if you were putting this in competition, what would you do to it from here?
Probably the same thing as what Chandler is going to do. Add more highlights, especially down on the cloak. If I was doing it in a competition, I'd either change that cloak into a tartan pattern, or I'd do some kind of freehand on it. Then I would add some weathering effects to the bottom of it, into the bottom of his feet. Add more shadows, more highlights, definitely on all of the armor. Really make it pop, especially that sword. You can really do a lot with that sword, especially with the non-oil. If you do a non-oil down the half on one side and then up the half on the other side.
I love that. That's awesome. Yes. And Ranger Harley said the knees. Now, Ranger, were you saying the knees look great, or did you have a suggestion for what should be done with the knees? And while we're waiting for him, either Chandler or Mike, anything you guys are still thinking should be done with those knees? Accent
the knees. So I think I want to make sure I'm understanding this, Ranger Harley. You're saying add some color to the knee guards. That way we have a little bit more variety among the armor. Is that what I'm seeing?
I think that's what he's saying. Yes, it is not just the knights who say knee. He is saying accent those knees.
Okay, well let's see. Just poll for you, all the people on the Zoom call. What do we think? Blue or gold? Right? If it's the
half pattern, half blue, half gold.
That's
cut down the
wonderful.
middle.
That's perfect. We'll do that.
All right.
Actually, I wouldn't even go with the metallic. I would do like a half to match the white on the eagle head. I would do blue and white.
That's perfect. Yeah, that would look really nice.
Wow. That's amazing. I found this homegrown talent right here in Murfreesboro, Mike. That's so cool. Evelyn, let's see the owlbear.
It still has some ways to go, but I will show you where it's at right now. So I'm just starting to kind of add some more depth to the feathers. So we're getting some texture.
Oh, wow. Yeah. Very nice.
Adding just some shade and different depth to the various feathers so that he has a little more
Looks amazing.
shape to him.
I love that. So same question, Evelyn. I'm getting ready to raid Jay here, pulling up his stream and stay with us. Everyone, thank you so much for all the support. Great chat tonight, all the viewership. But Mike, anything you would say for Evelyn? Yeah, obviously she's very early. She's got a bigger mini, so she's trying to work through that as she's going through the size of the mini. But what would you do next?
I don't know. I don't know exactly where she's going with that. I would add more color maybe to the wings. But I think that's where she's going actually with that. And maybe like a third color on those wings, start with a little the lightest on the furthest out and then a mid tone on in the middle, Makes sense.
Yeah.
I like that. All right, so as we're getting ready to raid now, I want to say thank you to each of you, and this will be one of many we're going to do over the next several months. We want to highlight mini painting, terrain, 3D printing, all the things that we love here to augment your D&D game. Everyone here loves the game, loves the paint, loves the art, loves the minis, and I am so thankful to the Mad Chatters tonight who have been very active, and Mike Disney, Chandler, and Evelyn. Thank you to each of you for being part of this. Any parting comments for any of you before I raid Jay?
Paint more minis.
Yes.
Paint more minis.
Paint
Never
more
stop.
minis. All right.
Never stop.
Jay's raid is in 10 seconds. 9-8. Thank you for the Overgourd. A reminder, Virtual GreyhawkCon coming up October. It's going to be amazing. All kinds of great streams, and you will see the Overgourd featured as a BBEG in a Blue Box stream for Virtual GreyhawkCon. Thank you to everyone for last night again. An amazing night. I'm going to go crash and just absolutely pass out. The last 2 days have spent and rent and ringed me out, as it has all of our fans here at Blue Box. But we love you, and here we go, rating Lord Gazumba.
Go Bumba. You go Bumba.
And the raid should be done.
Mm-hmm.
There we go.
We raided with a party of 30.
And I'll